Hi, I'm Christy Herzog.
Hi, I'm Dave Herzog.
And we are here from Coming Home with Grace. In 2005, I gave birth to our first daughter, Cameron, and we were so excited for the arrival of Cam, waiting for her to get here. And the second I delivered, it was almost an out-of-body experience. I had no connection with Cameron whatsoever, and it shook us to the core.
I remember the first sign of trouble, if you will, was the night Cameron was born, that you were more interested in when American Idol was going to be on that evening, as opposed to, how our newborn daughter was doing.
And unfortunately, for 25 years, I was known as this person who skipped their way through life. And when I was finally diagnosed with postpartum depression, a new world opened up to Dave and I that we have never been aware of. We didn't know mental health. We didn't understand mental health. But we also were quick to learn that resources weren't available, or the best resources weren't available. We live in Philadelphia. We have great resources, but if someone suffering from postpartum depression needs in-hospital or inpatient treatment, there isn't a place specific for women who are suffering from just postpartum depression.
Right around our oldest daughter's first birthday, we started to notice that she was not reaching some of the milestones that some other children, of her age were meeting, and some of the, quote unquote normal milestones that we were reading about in all the parenting books that, paint the rosy pictures. And we decided to pose some of those questions to our pediatrician at her 1-year appointment. And that's when we were first told to seek out help from, the specialty pediatricians.
An early intervention, and then we did go to the developmental pediatrician, and we had a decision to make when Cameron was diagnosed. We were either going to go into action mode or we were going to stay in diagnosis mode. And as soon as the pediatrician alluded to the fact that something may not be right, I went into action mode, and Dave went into action mode right along with me. And we didn't make an appointment with one developmental pediatrician. We made an appointment with 7 developmental pediatricians. And the first developmental pediatrician that we saw told us what turned out to be true.
Yeah, that she had autism and an intellectual disability, and
a seed was planted that day, a seed that had been planted when we realized that some of the resources for women with postpartum weren't that great. Then a seed was planted when the developmental pediatrician said to us, your daughter is at risk for to be a victim of sexual predators, and she'll need to be supervised for the rest of her life. And I remember getting into the car and saying to Dave, what about the rest of our lives? Because we're not going to be here forever. If everything goes as planned, Cameron will outlive us. And that just put a seed in us that started to really change the trajectory of our lives.
Yeah, we knew that we needed to be her protector, as any parent is with their child, but in this case, even to a higher degree of always needing to be the protector for her, and thinking about her future even without us in it. And we've always had those thoughts in the back of our mind. We don't live in fear, and worry, but it's definitely something that we discuss and is always in the back of our minds.
And that journey with Cameron and with postpartum made us closer. It can make you further apart in marriage, or it can make you closer. And for us, our marriage became stronger, and our faith in Jesus, instead of turning away from the Lord, we turn towards him. And that is really what our foundation is built on. In 2009, we gave birth to our second daughter, Brinley, and the second I delivered, I took antidepressants and had a wonderful experience with Brinley, and I'm so thankful for this wonderful experience because what was to come in 2011 was going to rock our world yet again.
So we had, I guess, what could be described as the perfect childbirth with Brinley in 2009, and then a little after a year later, we found out that Christy was pregnant again, and then shortly after that, we found out that it was twins that she was carrying. So then she was pretty ill during her pregnancy. She had a lot of sickness and just overall wasn't feeling great throughout her pregnancy. And then 33 weeks into her pregnancy, she became very ill and ended up having extremely low oxygen levels, and they did an emergency C-section and took both of the babies 7 weeks early. And the babies went directly into the NICU, and Christy went directly into intensive care, and roughly 24 hours later, she ended up going into cardiac arrest and had to be airlifted down to the hospital, University of Pennsylvania, where she went in cardiac arrest a few more times and had to be placed on a lung and heart bypass system called ECMO that ended up saving her life, along with the extremely talented and dedicated team at HUP, and became the longest journey of our lives to date. She was in a coma for 6 weeks and on life support for I guess 6 weeks, and was in the hospital for over 4 months, and just was a heartbreaking experience, but an extremely strengthening experience all at the same time.
It was the biggest storm that we had ever gone through as a couple. I woke up 6 weeks after having Aubrey and Courtney, clueless as to what had happened, didn't know what the date was. And I woke up feeling pretty good, and shockingly pretty good. And within about a week, I started to suffer from severe panic attacks that would go on for anywhere from an hour to 8 hours to sometimes it would last a couple of days. And even though, again, I am in one of the best cities, best hospital, here I am faced with mental health yet again. And after I was finally discharged from Bryn Mawr Rehab, Bryn Mawr Rehab and HUP again, I had to spend 10 days at Pennsylvania Hospital in a locked unit so they could figure out my medications. And again, another seed was planted during this storm, because even though I was so sick, I knew that this wasn't the right place for me. There was more available, or there should be more available. But despite how much we hit rock bottom as a couple, the community and the support that we received was just unbelievable.
Yeah, in 2009, I became self-employed, and that presented a whole nother group of challenges with her being ill, and I was at the hospital with her for 4 months, and at home with her and the babies after they came home for another couple of months. So we had no income basically for 6 months, and the community just rallied around us and helped with everything that you can imagine, financially, help with the children, just, everybody stepped up and really just helped in any way that they could. And it really left an imprint on us, just, how much people really do want to help. There's a lot of good in the world, and sometimes, you just need a channel for that. And, it's been our goal to somehow, help others and really just provide a channel for others, in the community to help as well.
And when we say community, we mean family, friends, anyone that lifted us up, your family. So it's not even community, it was just a family, because that's what we felt surrounded by. When we couldn't do the fighting, other people were doing it for us, and that is the goal for us with moving forward with Coming Home with Grace, to fight when other people can't. Dave and I knew that God only gives you what he can handle. It doesn't have anything to do with us. But how much can a person handle? How much can God handle? And in 2016, we were faced yet again with another challenge when I suffered from severe post-traumatic stress disorder. But another seed was planted in 2016, and through the storm of post-traumatic stress disorder, I realized that my journey wasn't done in fruition, and that there was a greater purpose for my life and for Dave's life. I just didn't quite know what it was, but that experience led me to telling Dave in 2017 that I was leaving my job as a teacher for 17 years. And remember, Dave is self-employed. I was the benefits, the pension, we have 4 kids, and I had zero plan. I just felt like there was something else out there. I loved teaching and it served its purpose, but there was something new that needed to be done.
So it was obviously a large decision and a huge transition after 17 years of her teaching and getting accustomed to her salary and benefits and I would say security of her job. But we knew that we could do it with some adjustment to our family, that we could live fuller lives with less, making some sacrifices within our family and really refocusing and really just focusing on what is truly important in life, and doing more with less really is our motto. So that was a big step in 2017 that we have definitely not regretted.
In 2017, I made a risk and I took a job writing for Upper Providence Living magazine. And that journey led me to a family that led me to a lacrosse coach at Springford High School. And the magazine in Springford School District and that lacrosse coach changed our lives. I found out about this girl in our community who was suffering from cancer and was going to have a surgery that was going to leave her paralyzed from the waist down. I reached out to the person running the Facebook page because the first thing I thought about was, how is this girl going to navigate her home? And then I told Dave that asked nicely that Dave was going to be remodeling this home along with my friend Misty, who was going to be designing the perfect space for this perfect girl. And Dave met with the family and found out something very important.
Yeah, so it turned out that the girl's father is a flight paramedic for Penn Star, and Penn Star is the same helicopter that took Christy from Phoenixville Hospital to the hospital at the University of Pennsylvania, and the team on that flight saved her life, literally saved her life. And kept her alive for that 20-minute journey to Philadelphia to be able to live.
So we did our first room and for Corinne, hair, and then we did our second room, and the girl's middle name was Grace. And when we called ourselves Coming Home with Grace, it was because of our first daughter, whose name is Cameron Grace Herzog. And little did we know that Coming Home with Grace in 2017 and 2018, it didn't have anything to do with Cameron Grace Herzog. It had to do with Corinne Hare and our second room, whose the little girl's middle name was Grace. And in the future, we want to build a home where families can come either for respite and vacation. If their home isn't able to be made handicap accessible, we'll have a wing that we can provide that they can use. But for our own daughter, we want to build a home when Cameron is an adult that she can live in with her friends and have an experience just like our other three girls will have. Dave and I really hope that you help us on this journey. We know that the doors to Coming Home with Grace will open because Jesus is driving this and he is at the foundation, and it's his face, not our face, that we want you to see.